People who have left third world countries for first world countries. What surprised you the most about life in first world countries? There's toilet paper in most public bathrooms. My mom still carries toilet paper in her purse when she comes to visit me and we go out. That's just good sense. Nothing worse than using a public stall and there being no toilet paper. If you get unlucky with the timing of the cleaners, you're screwed. True. For the most part. The only exception I can think of is outhouses on hiking trails. I'm from Asia and living in the UK. Was surprised about the social responsibility towards the environment. Rivers were generally clean and well maintained. That and people didn't have bowler hats and no one traveled via horse carriage like the TV said. Social safety nets. Canada. Not a huge difference in the services available in a small town versus a big city. How well pets are treated here. In first gen. You can eat summer fruit in the winter time. There was a snowstorm going on outside. The produce available is only the produce in current season. You don't get to eat produce that can't grow where you live or if it isn't in the proper season. We take it for granted. But hey, even in Alaska you can buy kiwis. I've heard that shops can suffer, not famine-inducing but mildly annoying, shortages in Alaska during certain times of the year. Also high shipping costs etc. I know near nothing about the place so would be interested to know if I've read accurate information or not. Quite the contrary for me. My home country has tropical, mountainous and desert climates. So we had everything all year round. Here in Central Europe I can only find some fruits, like strawberries, in summer. At least in reasonable price and quantities. I know someone in that situation. She's mostly surprised that people actually follow traffic rules. Give right of way to peasants. Things like that. Peasants. Make way for my automobile. I think you meant pedestrians but I will now also be referring to them as peasants. How people can just openly criticize their governments without fear of repercussions. I always thought it was incredible that there were so many late night hosts who would talk crap about politicians and wouldn't be in any danger with the law. If I tried even a fraction of what they said, I'll be having a very interesting time with the police. Edit. Spelling. You talk shit on Twitter, boom, you are arrested for insult to the president. Welcome to Turkey. Freedom of speech basically the pillar of first world countries. Not me but from a friend, you have so much clean water that you even shit in it. How else are you gonna clean up your shit? First time I traveled to the UK, I prepared for everything. Vaccinations. Local contact numbers. Things to do in case of emergencies. Backup money in plastic so that I don't get mugged. Some home food spices which I assumed won't get in the UK. An electric rice cooker. Thought I had it covered. Landed in Heathrow and went to the washroom. That's when I realized I didn't teach myself how to use toilet paper. What were you used to using? A lot of my family are blown away by supermarkets. Where they're from, you have to wait in lines for hours to get to the grocery store and there's no guarantee there'll actually be food once you get to the front of the line. On a lighter note, they're also really surprised by how common lawns and yards are and hate them with a passion. According to them, they're useless, take up valuable space, and are far inferior to courtyards. They're useless, take up valuable space. That's actually how they came to be. Rich people would grow grass to show off that they had so much land. They could afford to have useless space. On a lighter note, they're also really surprised by how common lawns and yards are and hate them with a passion. As a person allergic to grass, I second this. When you're hungry, there is food. Local TV station did its yearly 4th of July interview of new citizens and interviewed a guy who was just naturalized why he chose to become an American, and he responded, "I want to live in a country with fat poor people." I would imagine that being some people's responses. I was really surprised that the people don't eat as healthy as I did back home. Almost instantly I put on 5 kilograms because my body wasn't used to it. That happened to my parents as well. Suddenly being able to eat out every single meal if you wanted, cheaply and without having to pull strings to get in blow their minds, bit also made them fat. Nobody is made for the amount of crap many first worlders put in them. That's why obesity is on the rise in many industrialized countries. I was living in Ukraine and never traveled abroad before I turned 24. Then I moved to Dubai and lived there for 5+ years. Here are things that amazed me. Was shocked that roads without potholes exist. You can eat any fruits and vegetables without seasonality. Quality of apartments and especially how nice and tidy are common areas before apartments. Loans with low interest rates. Safety. I don't have to hide my phone every time I get into the public transport. People smile back to you. As a Canadian, I can assure you that living in a first world country does not protect you from pothole-infested roads. LMAO. Ukraine and Dubai are like sideways countries. They aren't strictly first world or third world. They're both second world in their own way. Ukraine is European and a democracy but also authoritarian and at war and poor. Dubai is rich but not Western and a dictatorship. My dad was very surprised the military doesn't force you to join or have random groups to kidnap for their own military groups. Also my cousins were surprised helicopters can be used for things other than weapons. Edit. America is not perfect but I'm happy we don't have to endure the harsh reality of war and can escape it. Out of curiosity, where are you from? Hello Finland here. You are 19 you guy? Military or prison? Choice is yours. Definitely the immense freedom and all the choices you have. Bored? Just go for a walk in the park. The cinema. The museum. The skate park, whatever, no restrictions. No danger, no dirty looks if you're by yourself. Hungry? Go to a cafe and sit there. Call a friend and go to the restaurant or even just pull out your phone and order delivery. Insane. Something else is the individual freedom and people minding their own business. How everyone rocks their individual style regardless of what other people might think. Where I come from everyone dresses the same, talks and acts the same etc. Everyone is constantly wary of each other and expecting the worst. So going to Europe and seeing people with crazy colored hair, trendy revealing clothes, smoking, walking their fancy dogs, riding their bicycles and young people just hanging out, people smiling to each other and greeting strangers. Just enjoying life and being carefree. I felt like I was in a cartoon. Needless to say I felt really out of place and couldn't believe people actually lived like that. Edit. I am from North Africa. Thanks for writing your comment. Made me more appreciative. Sometimes you forget how good you have it and focus on the negative. Whoa. I felt the same way after leaving my reservation in the U.S. Today I learned Native American Indian reservations are third world countries. Orderly traffic, internet speed. German here. With Syrian roommate. He was surprised that the mobile internet is way worse than in Syria. I've spent some time in West Africa. One thing that surprised me was talking to a very well paid employee of an oil company wanting to move to live in a not so great European country. Since he worked offshore he'd keep his job but didn't want to live in his home country anymore. When asked about why, I'm an immigrant myself. He asked me when was the last time I had a power cut at home. It would have been well over a decade then. It was an everyday affair for him. Sometimes it's things that we don't even notice. I live in South Africa and we regularly get load shedding. This means the country's power grid cannot supply the electricity demand. So they literally switch off certain areas for 5 hours per turn. We have schedules so you know when you have to work around not having power etc. My cousin hired a dude from Africa as a mechanic. One day while they were working he told my cousin that he got his first pair of shoes as payment after clearing a whole field. And when he got them they didn't fit. When my cousin heard this he took him out after work and bought him a very nice pair of boots. Edit. People seem hung up that I don't remember the exact country he's from. Sorry. Also my cousin didn't give him boots instead of a nice paycheck. He just felt he deserved a nice pair of boots and knew he wasn't in a position to spend that kind of money on himself so it was just a bonus. He's an awesome and incredibly humble guy. So he paid him with boots, but this time it fits. You must quit. Being able to use a cell phone laptop in public and not getting mugged for it. Walking alone and not getting mugged. Just not getting mugged in general. Edit. To the first world country PPL saying well. That's cause you haven't been to X place. I realize that some places in your country are shady dangerous. But they are shady dangerous compared to your understanding of reality. A dangerous first world piece is the equivalent of a safe third world place. Like. Why do you feel the need to try and compete? I'm not being cute when I say being mugged. If I sat down my entire extended family, cousins etc. and asked who's been mugged, almost every single person, out of 50-ish, would raise their hand. Some of which have been mugged multiple times. Many of which were mugged at gunpoint. It's not an occurrence. It's the rule. You'll never understand what a third world country is like. Be happy you won't. Oh dear, where were you living before? Not having to carry 2 phones. One of which is a backup to call for help if when you get mugged and your shinier phone gets stolen. Being able to take out your wallet and pay in cash using large bills that you just took out of the ATM that doesn't spit out smaller bills and not be scared of getting mugged later. I have a relative who got mugged and killed for this one. I'm from Manila.